Welcome to GreenKite to Ask the Experts. In this podcast series, we cut through the jargon and we try and get straight to what really matters in our industry. So if you are having issues, you're navigating tricky changes, then you're in the right place. Come listen to us and we'll help you tackle those questions in insurance, one episode at a time. Hi, good morning. Today is the next in our series of podcasts where we delve into the intricacies of consumer duty within the exciting world of delegated authority in the London market. I'm the host, Sara Ager. I'm CEO of GreenKite. We're a bespoke insurance consultancy, and I'm delighted today that I'm joined by Paul. Paul Templar is a co-founder and the CEO at VIPR Solutions. And I hope you don't mind me saying, Paul, you are providing one of the cutting edge solutions within delegated authority within insurance and the reinsurance industries. We've come across and worked alongside you on a number of occasions, and your company is going great guns, as I know one of your missions is to empower insurance companies and streamline their data and their processes, which is a topic close to our heart here at GreenKite. I think it's amazing as well that your technology house placed so much importance on compliance and supporting the enhanced underwriting performance and requirements that Consumer Duty has brought in. So I'm delighted you've joined us, and with your proven track record in data management and analytics, I'm going to be picking on your insights and your thoughts on what we can do to continue the revolution in delegated within the London market. So welcome, Paul. And we're delighted, as I say, to have you along. So
thank you.
Jumping straight in, if that's okay, with a quick question. I think what we find at GreenKite is that one of the hardest decisions for any company to kind of arrive at and persuade key stakeholders and funders to is how do they select the right technology to support their business process. Now, as I've just said, we often see your name in the runnings, but I wondered what your take was and what you think is one of the key reasons why insurers are selecting VIPR, at least at the moment.
Well, let's hope it continues as well.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely. Look, first of all, thanks so much for having me on. It's really good to be here, and it's great to catch up. I think in terms of what we've been doing in the market, we've worked incredibly hard over the last 15 years or so to develop a great product and to continue evolving it. I think it's really easy for technologists to sort of build something good and then just leave it. But we're certainly very keen to keep on moving the product forward, to keep up with client demand, but also with things like regulation and other needs that we have. As well as the technology, obviously we need to do a great job for our customers as well. So customer success and looking after the customers is absolute paramount to what we're doing. So we're not really in the business of installing software and walking away. We really want to be building a partnership, a relationship with our customers to make sure that they're getting the best out of the product, they're using it in the right way. We're taking their feedback as to what else we could do to improve the products, and also really building a community so that we're getting all those great ideas and helping other customers to understand what the trends are and how we can really help their businesses move forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think the word partner is increasingly important. Everyone's been using the word partner and partnerships for a long time, haven't they? But definitely our experiences are that there needs to be that strong relationship, which is evolving, but then embedded within the business infrastructure for any technology to succeed. I mean, and I also think what's great about your technology is it does appear to be flexible. So actually it can be tailored to the needs of the business. And I think one of our observations, and I don't know if you agree with me, is that's where someone like GreenKite comes in, because we help them kind of identify what they need and make sure that they get the best out of the technology, so it kind of scales and suits their business requirements. I mean, the good thing about working with someone like yourself is the reputation and the ongoing support you give for your clients, and I think that is critical for the success of any technology platform and establishing, but more importantly, investing in that long-term partnership proposition.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think, you've hit the nail on the head in terms of flexibility and configuration, and say that that's where, we've certainly worked well together in the past. It's um, I think systems that are very rigid, or you have to go back to the vendor to change things, or a user group, don't always work very well for the customer, because each customer is doing broadly the same thing with our software, but it's actually those individual configurations that are the key to real success, and as some of our customers like to say, the secret sauce that allows them to sort of do different things in their business from everybody else.
I was just going to say, I think it's really important to have the right business owner as well. So I think actually putting the customer in the driving seat is really essential, because otherwise the technology sits outside of the business rather than being in the business, if you know what I mean.
You're so right. You're so right. You need to have that subject matter expertise. It's great and sometimes essential that you have that outside assistance to get up and running. But I think if you leave a business in a position where they don't know how to use technology correctly, they'll inevitably either use it in the wrong way, or simply not get the best out of the software. And ultimately, the way we've tried to design our software is for those subject matter experts, for the business users to use the tech, not for IT teams to run it on their behalf, or indeed any sort of outsourcer. So, yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah, I think the proper implementation and ownership by the business is critical, isn't it? If it's going
Yeah,
to work,
for sure.
it's no point having our IT can help deploy and kind of deal with the updates and keeping the system fit for purpose. But actually, if the business don't use it, then actually it's never going to be part of the business process, which is what we're all seeking to achieve when we're trying to improve processes and business infrastructure in the delegated space. I mean, consumer duty's just made that so much more difficult, really. And if you don't have that technology supporting you, I'm not sure how you can manage the whole of your supply chain risk. I don't know what you feel about that.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's strange. I mean, a lot of what we do has been driven by regulations. So certainly in the early days, things like Solvency II were a real driver towards what we're doing, and we've seen a real evolution over the last 10 or 15 years, where at first, doing things like boardroom management were just a tick box exercise. We're satisfying the
Yeah,
regulator that we're doing something, and really
sure.
that's evolved now to businesses understanding that actually the data they're getting from this information is really important and can be used for a variety of things, a lot of downstream activities, as well as satisfying some of the regulatory needs. And as you rightly say, you can't manage this stuff off spreadsheets, or off the side of the desk.
Mm.
It really needs to be a proper process that you're in control of.
And our experience as well is increasingly there's a number of insurers that once the technology is embedded and kind of supports the business process, they then almost complicate slightly the process again by outsourcing it and finding an outsourced partner to help manage the technology platform. Are you experiencing that too? And what do you think is important when you, because I guess when you select an outsourced partner, it's the same as choosing a technology partner, right? They need to be the right partner of choice. And what's your experience on that, Paul?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But the thing that we've found is that we've got a couple of partners that we work with very regularly in terms of the outsourcing side of things, and that works fabulously because they understand the domain, they understand the technology well, and that they know what they're doing. I think the difficulty becomes when technology is put to an outsource that doesn't have any experience and has not used a platform before, and that is, that there's quite an uphill struggle, because they have to learn not only the domain but new technology, and a combination of those things make it very difficult. So I think when you are choosing an outsourcer, certainly it's important to make sure that they are familiar with the subject matter that they're dealing with, but also they have had experience with the platform itself. And if that's not possible, then there definitely needs to be that partnership again, to make sure that the vendor is working very closely with that outsourcer to do that knowledge transfer, to make sure they're competent in using the platform. So again, they do get the best out of it, because it's very easy to misuse any platform or take shortcuts if you're not familiar with what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think we've got some experience of that because we've actually worked alongside and kind of in betwixt and between the business technology platforms and outsourcers to kind of make sure that there is that continuum no flow of knowledge and expectation, and everyone knows what the other is doing in the chain. So it's not just about KPIs and SLAs, which obviously are important, but it's actually about the process that underpins that. And actually, who do you ask if you don't know what's happening or it's not working right? Who do you go to? And I think that is one of our experiences, that, you know, this whole collective, if you like, within your ecosystem need to have an understanding how the other works and what the other brings to the party for it actually to be a successful implementation
Yeah,
for the customers.
you're so right. And I just want to jump in just to very quickly say that also it's that collaboration between the customer and the outsourcer. So getting that groundwork done properly in the first place, making sure you've got a proper run book, and then actually going with it. That is sort of a key to some of the success.
Yep, I agree. And I think also there used to be a reliance that you know, everyone wanted a platform that did everything, and now I think there's a greater understanding that actually different technology platforms will aid customers' businesses in a different fashion, and actually it's having a scalable and an ecosystem where that vision to get to the end result is kind of implemented with a number of providers all working together. And if you're a technology house and you don't want to work alongside another vendor, then actually there's not really any space for you at the party anymore, I would say.
Yeah, no, when we've come across this a lot, I mean, Tony and our team very rightly said that we shouldn't expect our customers to be system implementers. Really, as vendors, we should be prepared to be working together, working out how we can do pre-integrations with our technologies so that it's a much more seamless experience for the customer. And that's why we've certainly been working hard to build and form relationships with other vendors so that we can actually come to the party and make it a much simpler journey for our customers.
Okay, so if we take that thought one step further and like apply the lens of consumer duty, and what one of the requirements are increasingly is the reliable data and MI needs for proper reporting, to know that you're looking after your end customer, but also to ensure that your supply chain oversight and management is all in order. Uh, what do you think, if you were to highlight two or three things that were key and pivotal about data and MI needs of business in your experience, what are most people highlighting as kind of key defining things that they need at the moment?
Yes, so I think there's a few things here. So first of all is, obviously making sure you're getting the right data in the first place. That you can do a lot to enhance and improve data, but if you're just missing key information from the get-go, then that's a conversation that our customers have to have with their partners to make sure that that they're getting the right information to begin with. The next stage really is using a tool like ours to properly process that data, to get it into a common, consistent format, pre-validate to make sure that the data that you're receiving is good and fit and proper, and any transformations that you might need to build in to be able to enhance that data on the way through. And I think when you're looking at processing data, the key thing is to think about what you're going to use that data for. So, if you've got a data set coming in, there's some clear things that you have to do. So consumer duty. So there's going to be certain bits of information from that data set that you're going to need to collect. Maybe there's other regulatory reporting needs. So you need to think about that. Maybe you're feeding other systems like ledgers or policy admin systems or reinsurance platforms. So there's certain things you're absolutely going to need to have in those data sets that you're processing to be able to feed those downstream processes. So making sure that you're doing that, you're consistent with how you're processing, and everything's ending up in the correct place so that when you do come to extract that data, you're able to use it and work with it in the same way. We're also seeing a lot of different types of data coming through from what we're processing. So it might be transactional data, restated data, enforced data, etc. So part of the process that we go through as well is to transform all of that into transactions, but also into single currency. And it makes it far easier to work with data in that sort of format within that reporting model to be able to then use it to drive downstream processes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree actually, 100% with what you're saying. I hate the word strategy because it's a very grandiose, overused title, but it's almost when people say we need a data strategy, even compliance and regulatory experts saying we need a data strategy, what they actually really mean is what data do they need to be able to have available to them to be able to allow them to hit their own business needs. So strategy is a grandiose term, but I think the point you make about identifying right at the outset what information you need and you're asking everyone in the chain to provide that information is pivotal to making sure that you can hit the regulatory requirements. I mean, it's quite interesting to sit there as a kind of, dare I say, a career compliance slash governance type of person, and then realize that actually my job or our people of similar experience, our job is no longer just about rules and regs and words. It's actually about data, number, and analysis. And I think there is definitely a move within the teams to have different people, because actually even regulatory people now can't do their job without effective management information and data from all sources, because it's so crucial in the kind of the outcome based approach of consumer duty for everyone to have that information. And if they don't have
Mm.
it, then they can't feed it in through the business. They can't give it to the board can't challenge, and then it kind of, dare I say it, the walls come tumbling down. But I think even for non-data people, data now is a hot topic. So I think you're on the money definitely by looking at it and helping your clients look at it right at the outset, because that for me is the key driver of anything here.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's crucial when you are working with maybe outsourced partners to do that processing for you, that you do have that firm playbook in place, because it's so easy to collect data and put it into similar pots, but not the right pot. And then you end up with data in lots of different places. So that governance and control piece is absolutely vital.
And I don't know if you're finding this, but definitely I think there is a realization from customers, business customers now, that actually, APIs are great, but they're not going to fit everyone, particularly in the cover holder model. So kind of having a process that allows straight through processing, but also a technology that supports the bordereau production process, which, at least in my lifetime, I suspect is going to be here for and probably for a while afterwards. Are you finding that people are kind of recognizing that there is a need to actively encourage both, and it's about the reliability of the data rather than the way in which they get the data?
Yeah, no, yeah, we are finding that, and I think a couple of things there. So first of all, we've spent a lot of time with our customers trying to streamline the processing side of things. So you talk about things like straight through processing there. We've certainly put things in place that means that a bordereau can be dropped into a portal, and that can be done by the cover holder or by the TPA DCA, and drop it straight in. And there is a happy path where that data will flow straight through the platform into the MI suite without anybody touching anything. So that can happen today. We're having many more conversations with our customers about how they can utilize APIs, so i.e. how we can take data directly from the cover holder systems and pull it straight through the platform in that same way. So to try and streamline that. And there's a bit of a misnomer that we've got an API, they've got an API. Hey, we just bolt things together and away we go. There's
Oh,
a bit
sorry,
more
that's a
work
bit of
involved, of course.
non-data people like me. I'm sure it's non-data people like me that go, oh, API, that's the same words. They must be the same.
That's right. Yeah. So it's like having a 3-pin plug and a European plug and trying to put
Yeah.
them together. It just doesn't work. So you have a bit in the middle that does the translation and pulls that through. So it's a relatively straightforward thing, but there is a bit of configuration involved. But when you get that going, that's really powerful, because you've then got data flowing straight from a source system into, say, the insurers platform, and it makes life a lot easier. But not every MGA, cover holder, agent, DCA is in a position to be able to do that. So what we've tried to do is to work with all the different levels of sophistication to make that journey easy. So as well as being able to take data via API, things like being able to accept data via email straight to a portal, having a drag and drop interface on the portal, being able to search for FTP locations, all of those different things are there, and they suit different sophistication levels of our customers, partners. And ultimately, you're quite right, CSV, Excel spreadsheets, that they're here, they're used very, very widely, and they'll probably be here for a long time yet. But we're just really helping with that journey towards a more automated world.
Yeah, and I guess with all these things, it's about if border are here, and I think we have to accept that CSV and Excel is still around for a while. It's about the accuracy of those uploads, but also the timeliness of the uploads, because obviously,
Yeah.
The question around 60 days after the last issue has been bound and not getting it in for 180 days, that makes timely reporting unacceptably late for customers, insurer customers. So it's
Oh, it's
actually,
ridiculous.
isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah. I mean, we're certainly seeing situations where, let's say, a risk was bound on the 1st of January. That's not
Mhm.
going to appear on a board out to the 1st of March. Maybe sat in somebody's inbox for another 3 or 4 weeks. So suddenly you've got 90-day-old data that you're working with. Contrast with working on an API where you could have it the same day or next day. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, and that time frame is long enough to ruin an underwriting portfolio, for instance, from a performance point of
Oh,
view.
for
So,
sure.
anything we can do to
Yeah.
shorten that gap is a good thing, right?
Absolutely right.
So I think it's also important, and I think you've touched on it there as well, haven't you? The spend for technology platform isn't necessarily a one-off, and I think it's important that there is a recognition by customers that there is a need to keep that technology up to date to support the ever-changing business needs. Um, and so what kind of other considerations should an insurer partner consider when they're looking at technology or a new technology implementation? When they're considering what their choice is, what are the other considerations in your view are there?
Yeah, so I think getting that initial implementation right is essential. So we spend a lot of time with our customers, even before we start doing the work, understanding what the scope of the project is, working out what the goals are, what the output's looking like, what the inputs. So, for example, are we taking feeds of data from policy admin systems, from data warehouses, wherever that might be. So establishing that groundwork, so we've got a very clear plan as to how we're going to implement, is vitally important. I think from the customer's point of view, they're absolutely going to have those subject matter experts in the room that are going to want to get involved, but quite often they've got other jobs that they need to be getting on with as well. So to have trusted partners on their side that can help them with that implementation is also really important. So that's where you guys really come into play. So you can augment a customer's team to actually make sure that there's real success on that side of the fence. The training, so making sure that everyone's very aware of how to use the platform, even if they are looking to outsource that part of the function, because that way they can certainly make sure that it's being used in the right way. And something that we've seen work really well is making sure that that training is kept up to date. People change in jobs, staff turns over, and you suddenly get into this situation where you're sort of having this knowledge passed down, and it's getting watered and watered down as time goes on, and nobody really knows how to use the platform properly. So having those regular training touch points really important, and making sure that everyone knows how to use the platform.
Is that something that you guys do for them? If they're an ongoing customer, do you provide that support for them?
Yeah, we've invested quite heavily in our knowledge platforms. We've got sort of online self-paced learning. We've got sort of regular tests. We've got people trained to deliver the training, and of course partners that we're working with doing that as well. So that's something that is really important, and we're very committed to making sure it's successful, because we want the system used correctly, and obviously that comes from that knowledge transfer. And as I say, that's something that we feel that as staff changes over time, that that they must be kept up to date. And the other thing you mentioned there was making sure the software is kept up to date as well. So we update our platform quarterly. So we have new feature releases come out quarterly. And we really ask our customers to make sure they have at least one update per year. We appreciate there's a bit of overhead from their point of view to make sure that everything's as it should be. So we're not as onerous as saying you must do this quarterly, but we do like everything to be kept up to date once a year. And it makes the update process really seamless if you do that, and that they're benefiting from all the new features.
Well, I guess if you don't do that as well, you run the risk as a business for that technology to not support the ongoing business requirements, because your updates reflect the changes in regulation, by way of example, or the changes in the process, or the learnings from running their book of business. And if they don't do that, then they run the risk of it not suiting their business needs. And I have to say, probably one of the biggest gripes that we find from customers around technology is that the technology doesn't reflect their business needs. Now, whether or not that's around the original scoping of the requirement or the choice of the partner, but quite often it is as simple as you say, that there's been change of personnel actually, and the new personnel are used to using an old system at their old place, and they're referring it to the new system, and it doesn't have quite the same capabilities, or you get the information in a different way. And actually that knowledge allows the technology to continue being supportive of the business needs, rather than a business debilitator, which is often what we find people say.
Absolutely, and people are really creative. They'll find new and interesting ways to work around problems. So giving them the right knowledge in the first place is absolutely essential.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, my experience is the greatest use outside of technology platforms is Excel, and Excel
Well,
and
that's true.
itself.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So where do you think, in your view, from a technology point of view, where do you think the London market's going to, and what's going to continue to be an important decision making, or one of the important decision making requirements of technology going forward?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just sort of really focusing on the delegated space. I think what we're hearing in the market, and this isn't just in London, but also worldwide, particularly in the States, we're seeing a lot more desire to do more delegated business. So I think sort of in Lloyd's, it's always been around 40% of the market, but we're certainly hearing from our customers they're looking to increase that, in some cases double the amount of delegated they're looking to do. And what we don't want them to have to do is to double the staff in order to cope with that. So I think some of the trends, and certainly some of the things that we're working on, is to ensure that our platforms can cope with an increased level of demand, which they can really well, without having to throw a lot more people at the problem. So we're actually trying to be as efficient as we can with what we do, looking at the platforms, taking a step back and working out how we can streamline some of the processes. So things like the straight through processing, working with customers to take data through API and those sorts of things. It is certainly going towards that. Looking at how AI can assist in that process, so other things that we can implement to make those tasks easier for our customers, but really trying to retain and increase the profit that can be held within the delegated arrangements without having to build a lot more cost in.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally support your view. I think there is a definite move at the moment at least within the London and the Lloyd's market, to do greater or more interesting business through the delegated model. And I think you're right, there is with a drive for efficiency, it does make that a profitable area of business for any organization to grow. But actually, if you don't have the infrastructural support, then actually it can be a recipe for disaster. So
Absolutely.
I would totally agree with you. I mean, I think forward planning and proper technology thought, selection and implementation is key if you want to do delegated right in this day and age.
Yeah, that's right. And also you've got to think of it as well from the standpoint of the cover holders. So maybe they're coming into this market for the first time, maybe they've been working for a long time, but with different carriers or insurers wanting different data sets, with regulatory changes that are coming through, with different cover holder reporting standards that are emerging, with CDR that might be coming down the line. They've actually got quite a big job in making sure they're outputting the data in the way that the insurers want it, and the way that it supports regulation. So we've definitely been giving a lot of thought to how we can support those parties in actually being able to produce that data in the right way as easily as possible.
I think that's very wise, because we also represent a number of MGAs and cover holders, and actually quite a lot of their confusion is because insurers aren't quite certain what they want, and actually clarity from the outset about data, MI and deliverables actually makes the basis for that strong partnership we touched on earlier. But more importantly, the cover holders know what they have to do to continue to get the insurer's support. So I think that dependency between the two becomes even stronger if one knows what the other is looking for.
Oh, totally. And I think, again, from the cover holder's point of view, if they're a really easy partner to do business with, they can get to the data points very quickly and in the right way and accurately, it makes them much more attractive, and that they're much more likely to be able to pick up business, rather than somebody who's very hard to deal with and always gets the data wrong. It's a completely different story.
It's the same the world over, isn't it? It's the same the world over. Make it easier for people to come back.
Yeah, you got it.
Anyway, Paul, I think your insight today has been invaluable. I thank you very much for giving us some time and sharing some of your insights with the market. I wish you well for 2025, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome, and it's all the best to you as well. Great to speak. Catch up soon.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Ask the Experts with GreenKite, and we hope that you've gained some valuable insights which help you steer your insurance journey with confidence. Remember that for every complex question, there's always a clear answer just waiting to be unearthed. Join us next time as we continue to decode the intricacies of the insurance world. More expertise on demand? If you need it, then visit our website. Take care, and see you all on the next episode.